Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm going to call you guys the disruptors this morning. We're going to be talking about disruptive car wash technology a little bit, and I know some of the disrupted are probably still in bed, so I'm going to call you guys the disruptors, the ones changing the industry. A little bit of background or information I got to share with you. What I'm going to share today is copyrighted information, intellectual property, and some of the things that we have available to you through a system that I'm going to share with you at the end. This is also not a franchise offer. Franchise process is official and a legal thing that we have to go through and give you disclosure documents, so this is not an offer for a franchise today. So my name's Ryan Essenburg. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a third generation car washer. Been in the business since I was a baby, and this is my family, and today we have 7 corporate stores. The two claim to fame that you probably hear a lot about is the top picture. It's called the Waverly location, we call it. It washed 1 million cars in its first 806 days. If you do the numbers on that real quick, which was about 420,000 the first year and 480,000 the second year. We just broke a new record a few weeks ago of 224 cars in 1 hour. We're experts at processing, and that's what I'm going to talk to you a lot about today. The bottom picture here is our newest location, which we call the Rivertown location, and it just washed just about 200,000 cars in its first 12 months open. So I'll give you a little background before I dive into belts, brands, and buildings and how we got here today. We started washing cars in 1969 when my grandfather started our retail operations. Through the process, we opened and acquired a few locations. We reinvented car washing equipment with a round arch and a unique design that was built for express car washes. We've realized when the customer's in the car, the equipment must look nice and it has to show well. So we redesigned and reinvented car washing equipment. We packaged that. We saw a lot of disconnect in business models around the country. So we built models, Express, Flex, Gas, and Mini. We packaged the car wash into a predefined design and layout. Then in this seminar in 2013, I shared the 5 factors of express car wash success. In 2014, I shared how to build the ultimate express car wash and attention to details. And in 2015, we built the ultimate express car wash, the Waverly site I just talked about. And then last year, I shared with you the fundamentals of how to duplicate that success. This year, we're going to be talking about industry disruption and disruptive technology and exponential growth opportunities. So a little bit of background for those of you that weren't here last year. I'll pick up where I left off. We talked about branding, processing, critical densities, the theory of building multiple sites in a small location so they add value and contribute to each other. Clean, shiny, dry, and turning out a great car. We talked about marketing. We talked about hiring great people and how to leverage people versus equipment in correlation to each other. We talked about smart design. I'll talk about that a little bit more today when we get to the building section. Talked about site selection, locations, and implementing a business system and a business process to make your wash more successful. And this year, in 2017, it's your time to shine, and I'm going to share with you how to disrupt the industry, out with the old, in with a new industry model, adapt or die. There's massive transformation happening. I'm going to show you some of that today. We're working on a massive rollout nationwide and worldwide. There's underserved markets all over the country and a great opportunity there, and existing operators have been slow to catch up. And what this means for all of you that are here today is a big opportunity. 2 big forces that I'm going to share talking about what's happening in the car wash industry. The first is a very exciting term called profit amplification. A lot of money is pouring into the industry right now, both in investment capital as well as most profitable of retail locations in a long time. The second thing happening is what I call a technological leap. It's a big advancement all at once of new technology and innovation that massively disrupts the current industry. This year, I believe it's all about ROI and understanding supply and demand. So with money coming into the industry, we see investment-focused investors that care about return on investment. And somebody who cares about return on investment knows that the more money you invest, the more money you spend, and get a greater return, you make more money. Versus the old days, the car wash industry was a very mom and pop focused industry, which it didn't matter really the ROI. It was, hey, I've only got this much money. I really want to own a car wash, so give me the bare minimum, even if it's not the best investment decision. We see new demand created today by the monthly wash club that's requiring thousands of new car washes to be built. Robert Kiyosaki said, like a surfer, people who catch a wave late usually wipe out. The technological leap I'm talking about is new, highly efficient technology. Today we can wash a car cheaper and more efficient than we used to be able to, with water, electrical savings, chemical savings, things like that. Also lean operations. I'll talk today about the flight deck concept and how we save labor with a very efficient operation. An app and a customer integration technology where we're high-touch environment that's connected to the retail locations. A new technology and belt conveyors I'll talk about in this technological leap ahead. Point of sale commoditization is happening very quickly. Never again will you pay $150,000 for a point of sale system. That ship sailed. Today you download an app on the App Store and boom, you're in business with a point of sale system. And processing technology has improved. Today we can process more cars faster in less space, and it's been a dramatic improvement. A little bit of background for those of you that are new to the industry, a little science of where we believe we stand. We believe this is a teenager stage industry that has yet to have really adapted to mass rollout. The experts that look at this kind of stuff believe the most money is made right about now in the industry where it takes off exponential growth in the next 10 to 15 years. We believe, based on the economics of what we're seeing with the new demand or new supply required to meet the demand of the wash club, that about 2,600 new car washes need to be built in the United States just to service the existing gain in the industry, and about over 8,000 worldwide. That's just to supply the demand by the monthly wash club. Today, the industry, for those of you that don't know, is very mom and pop industry, and we're trying to change that, but it's 8 locations today, puts you in the top 50 chains in the country. Okay, there's a desperate shortage in most markets. Now, a lot of markets in the country I'll talk about today have outstanding car washes and great operators, and many of them in the room today, outstanding car washes, but there's a lot of markets that are underserved. We're finding them all over the country, mostly the mid-size and smaller markets. In explainable failures of rollouts and chains in the past, we understand why they failed and how to make sure that doesn't happen again. This is about where we believe we're at in this growth curve, a very exciting time to be in this industry. I want to tell you, I want to give everybody today a snapshot of really the car wash industry. And thanks for Google Maps, I was able to kind of do that like a customer would without having to drive around and look at car washes all over the world. So I pulled up a map and I looked for cities, and the first one that popped out at me was Columbus. Now I thought, Columbus, that sounds like a good old average American city, a good hometown city. Now actually there's not just one Columbus, there's 18 cities named Columbus in the United States. So I randomly selected car washes like a customer would by pulling up a map and saying, hey, let me find the best, nicest looking car wash. Randomly selected, I came up with these 4 in Columbus markets around the country in different cities. These are just a few to show you the state of the industry. Again, there's great operations in a lot of markets, but these were the first 4 pictures that I pulled up from randomly chosen car washes, just like a customer in a marketplace. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't know if I would take my car through any one of those car washes. Now, the top right corners, I picked really because the name, top of the line car wash. Okay, this is the state of the car wash industry for the masses right now. The bottom right corner we call the black hole. Okay, you wouldn't really bring your car in there if you can't see what's inside. And this is my personal favorite, this beautiful shiny black Cadillac coming out of this car wash. Now, I can guarantee you that guy didn't wash his nice car there because he wanted to or because it put out the best car. He washed his car there because he didn't have another option or a choice. Okay, I did the same thing in another city because I thought this can't be true. And these are the first 5 pictures that I pulled up, literally. I didn't find a good one and discard it and not put it in my presentation. Randomly 5 car washes, try it. I did it again in another city, it got the same result. Charles Darwin said it's not the largest and strongest that survive, but the ones most responsive to change. I want to know today, does anybody here have a crystal ball? Okay, nobody. I thought a few people might, but I'm going to share. I believe I kind of have a little bit of a crystal ball. I'm going to share that with you today and let you use mine, okay? So the reason I have a crystal ball is because I was born at a time where I was taught how to work hard, but I also know how to use Snapchat. And that's kind of a special little window here that I lead what's called the millennial generation. And as a leader of the millennials, my buying habits and my families and people in my age group are able to kind of forecast what's to come. And the people that have buying habits like me are the people of the future. And what's really important to know about that today, if you can anticipate what's coming down the pipe for buyers, you can cater to their needs. And millennials have just now passed up, and in the process of passing up, by 2020, will be the largest percentage of the adult population. The people that you think are the entitled kids who show up late to work are now your largest customer, okay? Most importantly, $1.3 trillion and 1/3 of all retail spending will be people my age or younger in the millennial generation. Very important to understand this. And that's what we're going to talk a lot about today. Millennials demand, and of course you all know keyword there, demand, because we want it the way we want it. And we demand fast, low hassle, and one of the most important is easy experiences. Okay, we have better things to do than give you 30 minutes of our time. We're very routine-oriented processes. We like to do things repetitively. We should not have to plan time. Years ago, you know, they talk about, oh, it's Saturday, I'm going to get the car wash. We don't do that stuff. We want to go wash the car on the way to work, and whenever we want to, there better be a car wash nearby and fast that we can run through. Millennials want fun, and one extra minute of time or hassle is not acceptable. I had a friend locally tell me that he drives past our car washes that have chain and roller conveyors to go to the one with a belt because it's just easy. It's faster, it's easy, it's no hassle, okay? Oh my, OMG EIF, what this means is the industry right now has given millennials what we call an epic industry fail. Millennials demand quick, easy, gentle, and often, and today you can't find that in the car wash industry. In-bay automatic models are not going to be here for much longer because they're not fast. Okay, it's not acceptable to a millennial customer to wait in line for an 8-minute wash and wait in line 30 minutes just to get in. It's not the answer, and it will not be sustainable, I believe. Washing by hand is not going to have a comeback. It's not something that we like to do, and of course we don't have time for. We've got better things to do, and it's just not easy. So I don't believe that type of market space is ever going to have a comeback. And most car washes today are just not good and not putting out a good car. So that leads us to belts, brands, and buildings, and why change is now, and these are three forces that I believe are going to massively disrupt the industry. So belt conveyors. Belt conveyors have already obsoleted chain and roller conveyors. Late adopters will struggle to catch up. Once a consumer experiences a belt, they will not likely go back to a chain and roller wash. A few facts about the transporter belt conveyor. Today, and for many years, we've manufactured more belts than we do chain and roller conveyor. That's been a long time trend. Today it's about 5 to 1, and we are in the near future won't even make chain and roller conveyors anymore. The belt is required for many new vehicles coming off the line. That has to do with the automatic parking safety feature, where if a person's in front of the car, it stops. A brush gets in front of the car, it stops mid-tunnel, collides with another car. And it's going to cause massive issue for existing car washes. By 2022, the government mandated every new vehicle must have that feature. It's very difficult to retrofit from an old car wash to this model. It's about $120,000 and 3 to 5 weeks downtime. What you're going to see is a lot of old, tired car washes. The real old ones are probably going to close, unfortunately. Some of the other car washes will turn people away if they can't wash that type of vehicle there, and other ones will obviously be able to do the retrofit. The customer demands an experience that's demanded. Once they get the belt, they won't go back to a chain and roller conveyor. The errors and intimidation process is so much better. The customer doesn't have to line up. There's no fear of scratching their wheels, bumping into anything. Okay, a more consistent and easier process. We can actually wash the car more consistently, better, and easier on a belt because the vehicle's centered. We don't have to deal with this wide range of vehicles and different widths. In terms of prepping, people who prep, the belt is one of your best tools because it creates a process. We've all seen the guy who's bent over at the beginning of the tunnel shooting a prep gun down here doing nothing. Well, they're lined to the road and the tunnel's empty. Okay, we've all seen it. The belt allows you to have about we put in a 25-foot loading area. We pull the car onto the belt, load them, get them in neutral, and now we've got time, and your prepper becomes like another piece of equipment machine on the assembly line that's moving and has a timed process. Now we created a system and a rhythm, so they have to prep like this, and they have a limited time. We can say that's how much time you get to prep the car, and then you're done. Okay? And loading, we speeds up the loading process significantly. So here's a little video that's just shot from above at one of our washes just to show kind of how a belt works for those of you that haven't seen it. These are customers in the car. They're shifting into neutral on the fly. This is self-loading, so at our washes we run self-loading about maybe 50-60% of the time. If it gets real busy, we put a loader out to pull cars tighter, but this right now is a pretty good day, and it's loading, self-loading. No correlator to line up with. The balls we use as visual guides to try to give the customer line up, but without banging them around with their tire. And you can see how it's a very, very smooth process, okay? We reduce the intimidation, and it's just much smoother than the old style systems. Some of the belt capabilities, we've washed 224 cars an hour is our record. That's on a 130-foot car wash tunnel, which has a 115-foot conveyor. Now, how do we do that is you don't have to run a belt at breakneck speeds to get 224. You can run at 224 and get 224. Chain and roller conveyor, you'd probably have to run at 240, and then you got gaps in there and you're whipping cars through. So actually you get more cars faster on a belt that's running slower. Saves about 2 to 3 feet per vehicle. Anxiety factor nearly eliminated, safer for the staff, and demanded by all customers once they're enlightened to this option. No correlators, no risk of wheel scratching, and belts today are the absolute standard. It would be insane and crazy to build a car wash today without a belt, because they will be obsolete in just a few years from now. Okay, I want to go into brands. Branding. The car wash industry has failed to leverage one of the most important retail core principles called branding. It's obvious in every other retail business. Why can't we get the hang of it, right? Numbers grow exponentially with brand saturation. So what I'm referring to there is a principle I talked about last year called critical density. When you build multiple locations in a small area, they contribute to each other. Club members can overlap, they can wash at other locations, and the brands add value to each other. So that's the concept of critical density. It's very powerful. It's part of the reason of the success that we have at our washes in Michigan. They would never do that kind of volume as one store. They do that volume because it's been 45 years of building brand and a customer base. Millennials trust brands they know, and we have less care for the local shops. We like to see names we trust, and the Amazon today has overcome. You know, the old days, it's like, yeah, I want to help out the local shops. Today, we want a good experience. So Amazon has trumped grocery stores now. We literally, my family buys our ketchup, our water, our toilet paper, and our paper towels on Amazon, shipped to our house. Okay, massive disruption, and it's going to affect the local grocery stores. This is a little bit about branded businesses historically in the retail marketplace compared to independent startup business. This is the failure rate. Okay, statistics from the International Franchise Association that 95% chance within 2 years of success drops to 70% in an unbranded business that doesn't tie into a business system. Okay, branding provides professionalism. Brands can deliver professionalism in an unprofessional market. So by having good branding allows you to stand out from the existing mom and pop marketplace. This is the digital age. Social connectivity is demanded by millennials. We get our weather on our phone rather than opening the door to go outside. We read the news on Twitter and our news app on our phones. GPS, coffee, everything's at our fingertips, and we must be connected with people's phones at the car wash. So to do that, we built an app. The app allows us to sign up club members from their phone at night, at home, wherever they want to be. They can sign up, they can join the club, they can cancel, change their plan, everything on their cell phone. When they come in, we read their license plate. They can sign up in the parking lot, sitting outside in their car, pull in, gate opens, the car goes through the wash. It eliminates RFID, and we have a centralized club network nationwide. And there's a new concept that's taking off in Europe called roaming. It's a principle of where actually one person can own the club members, and they can wash at different washes. So in a sense that a car wash that's at capacity, who has a lot of members and doesn't have the car washes to handle the demand, can roam on other people's car washes, essentially your competitors, and get paid for it because you own that club member. It's a new concept. So this is disruptive technology. It's going to be a much better process today. It's faster. You do it all from your home. We have people, a husband goes to the car wash, signs up, goes home, puts his wife's car on at night, sitting at home. Economies of scale is something that is available to branded chains and larger chains that the small mom and pop stores can't connect to. Newest technology like this phone app is really out of reach of the small companies. We've built another app called Wash Club. It's a generic version to try to get that technology in the hands of smaller chains, but it's still costly up front. So it's really a 3 to 10 store minimum to try to get that kind of technology implemented. A centralized club administration has economies of scale, so larger chains can centralize. Today, we manage all the club members directly from Michigan from our headquarters. And marketing has economies of scale. When you build 3 sites in an area, you can run an ad and get it 3 times paid back versus one site. You don't have the power there. And buying power, of course, discounts and purchase volume. The more you buy, the more you save. And together, collectively, economies of scale is leveraged by all major brands today. In a world with a lot of brands, you have to stand out. This is one of our newest facilities. It's in the middle of a franchise retail district of every big name brand within a mile. Target, Panda Express, McDonald's, everything right there. It would be silly for us to not have some sort of brand value and a very powerful brand name planted in a market that's on a good site like that. A little bit about brand marketing today from entrepreneur.com. I want to read to you. Today's brands need to be hyper-focused on delivering experiences rather than delivering messages. A story about Airbnb and HomeAway, 2 companies that provided a platform that matches travelers with private rental accommodations. HomeAway was 3 years old when Airbnb launched in 2008. To fend off the new entrant, HomeAway developed and spent millions of dollars on a digital branding strategy that described why it was different from Airbnb. Airbnb, on the other hand, focused its efforts on creating unique and compelling experiences for its consumers, comparing itself to no one. Today, HomeAway has a market cap of roughly $3 billion, while Airbnb's values soared to $20 billion. Brands need to perform and prove their worth through actions and delivering extraordinary experiences. That was written about the millennial culture. I want to talk about competition real quick when it comes to brands. And in a competitive environment, you always play to win. You want to do something bigger, better than what's existing. But some things you need to understand about competition. Debt-free veterans are always going to have an advantage, so don't ever compete or dive into a market where you've got a veteran who's been in the business a long time that is debt-free. New investors that have a high debt load have a disadvantage in that marketplace. Another thing to understand, competitors will get better as soon as they're challenged. So you might go into a market and you think, well, this guy's not really doing a good job over here. I'm going to build a wash. Well, he's going to get better the day you start construction. And his price is going to go down, he's going to get more aggressive. You got to understand there's wide open markets everywhere. I can't emphasize this enough. There's bloodbath markets around the country that are way oversaturated, and then there's these towns everywhere. We see them every day. We're building washes in cities that have no tunnel car washes, put in 1 car wash, and they're killing it because these are untapped, underserved markets that are under the radar. So why go into a bloodbath competitive market when there's wide open spaces? And then you have to understand, building in a competitive marketplace, you're just dividing the numbers in half, and you create 2 nonprofit car washes, and it does nothing for anybody. Okay, when you understand that there's markets out there, you have to be creative, and you have to go find them. A summary about branding as it applies to car washing. Multi-site environment is very important. We like to always go and build 3 in a marketplace, 3 so we can get economies of scale and all that good stuff. It takes time to build. Our Waverly location washed 1,000 cars its 3rd day open. It did that because we had 45 years behind it of customer base and brand recognition. McDonald's doesn't go open a new store today and bring out the fire trucks and we're getting the mayor out here. We got to do all this. They open the doors and they're busy day 1 because they've built brand and people know what they are going to get. Consistency is very important. What makes Southwest Airlines, McDonald's, all these companies may not be the best product in the world, but it's religiously consistent. And experience is very important to the process. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Environment that feels good. We call it looks great, feels great. It must feel good to get your car wash. It's not so much about just the car wash today, it's about the feeling you get when you're in a clean, shiny, dry car. And branding, and the building is a brand itself. Today we're seeing that the look in the facility separates you and identifies you as a brand. Okay, buildings. A car wash building is as important as any piece of equipment. Does anybody remember what this is? Who remembers this story? Somebody got to remember this. Dr. Seuss, the story of the star-belly Sneetches. Anybody remember that? So the Sneetches that had stars wanted to not have stars, and the ones without stars wanted stars, and so they built a machine and they put the Sneetches in one end, they came out and they got all mixed up and nobody knew who was who and they all lived happily ever after. What you have to understand about a car wash building today is it's a machine. It's not just equipment that produces the experience in the clean, shiny, dry vehicle. The car wash facility takes a dirty car in one end and it spits it out clean the other end. And there's things I'm going to share with you about how the building is involved in this process. So it's one of the few businesses that the facility is part of the process, the result, and the experiences. I couldn't think of very many. I'm sure there's a lot. And architects don't understand this. If you go to an architect, they're going to draw you a floor and a box like they do with every other restaurant, every gas station, every grocery store. Okay? This is a machine that processes vehicles. The only one I could think of was like a skydiving center, indoor skydiving. Pretty important that that building is developed to deliver that product properly, off the plans, by the book. This is going to work right. There's not many businesses like that. McDonald's can go build a ground up, or they can go in an airport and it's still the same cheeseburger, okay? So, a facility with smart design, very important to the car wash process. The ease of turning left. It's also important because the customer's in the car. They're part of this whole thing of coming in dirty and going out clean. No mazes on the property, making it easy. Team members stationed on the driver's side of the vehicle, always. Equipment controls are line of sight so we can manage the equipment easily. We look at things like the curb design around the property, okay? You're going to get people who claim you scratched their wheels. Last thing you want is them scratching the wheels on a curb on the property when they pulled in. Light transitioning from outside it's bright, inside it's dark sometimes. We brighten the inside to make it so their eyes don't have to transition so they don't get blinded for a minute when they load. Proximity and centralized labor for the flight deck, so that all your labor's in one spot, and proximity to customers' interaction. You see in the bottom picture, people at the vacuums today, they're stationed right there. They can go, and the staff is very close proximity. And a facility with smart design implements form and function. It looks great, but it's functional to operate. Some of the building elements that are imperative to a great operation, floor slopes, little things like that are overlooked by architects. We take and we raise the ground where this car is sitting 2 inches to get the cashier eye to eye with someone sitting in a car. Okay, we take slopes into the building, have to be downhill so they can ride the brake and roll onto the belt conveyor. The exit end, we go downhill, we dump them out the end as fast as we can. Little things like that. The way slopes in the car wash sit so you don't have puddles on the floor. The guys who are pouring the concrete don't realize that it's raining in here every day. There's water. You don't want a little puddle here. The way doors swing, we've perfected and implemented in the design. Window sizes and placements, all very strategic to run a low labor operation. Drain placements, very important, where your drains are throughout the wash. Stop button locations for safety and accessibility in the right positions. Glass, we install the glass backward. Most buildings are designed to keep weather out. It rains outside and we keep that water outside. In a car wash, we reverse it. We want the weather to stay in. The glass is wet on the inside, so we weep the water back to the inside. Duty cycles for power. Architects and engineers don't understand that there's a car that goes through, then there's a gap. Usually in our case, we like to see a 3-foot gap and as tight as we can, but there's a gap. So when they calculate these things like water and electricity and all these loads, they forget to take, they take maximum load, but they forget to take into account things like duty cycle, or they go size the bay heaters to heat the bay to 75 degrees. Well, we don't have people in the wash bay. It's an unoccupied environment. We want it to be about 55 degrees. So those are the kinds of things that just a typical architect's not going to understand. Building operation intangibles are other features that you build in. The manageability of the operation. You want it to be easy, low drama, low chaos. I went to one of our stores a few months ago, and the store that washes 2,000, it's like 1,500 car day average or something like that. And it's washed 2,900 cars plus is the record. I went there one day and the cashier said, it's kind of slow today. I go, look, it's 1,000 car day. Because it's a manageable, easy to run operation, effortless really people call it. Automation and features, we control the roof vents, lighting, everything on the wash controller, automatic timing. And there's wow factor. The wow factor to a facility becomes a marketing investment up front, so you kind of pay for your marketing once by having wow factor. You get buzz around town, people are excited, wow, look at this place, awesome, I got to go there. Well, that's marketing really, but being invested up front once and done. Smart design equals lower operating cost and gives you a competitive advantage. We use what we call an active manager concept. On the picture to the top right, that's the manager. There's no closed office anymore. There's no door. There's no sit-down area. This is a paperless world. Everything's cloud-based. You stand up there and you're facing cars incoming in the loading area. Everything's line-of-sight control with low labor, okay? That's on the left, the control console. We can pause the conveyor. We can start, stop the wash. We can add functions to a car that's pulling in right there. The details count for manageability, everything like the way the door swings. And that's the control console on the left. Integration of building equipment is throughout, from the chaseway that runs under the pod system to the way the back room's designed to keep electrical main service near the dryers where most of the electrical is used within 15 feet of space. But things like the flight deck, we call this control center. This is where the cashier stands. Very important that the building and everything's exactly like this, so they've got everything at their fingertips to control multiple lanes. Today our cashier's managing 3 lanes, gates, stack control, as well as looking over their shoulder to see loading. Managing all wash systems effectively. This is a picture of the outside from the flight deck. More integration of building and equipment. Smart buildings, roof lighting control I talked about. Centralized gravity feed pumps. Today, instead of having a bunch of pumps with tanks on them with low level sensors and fill valves and all that to manage, we put one centralized tank up high in a mezzanine. It's gravity fed to the pumps, and it centralizes and it mixes with RO reject water to use it. Smart, very smart system. Parts storage and workbench spaces, things that other people don't account for, an architect when they're designing a building. Trash cans strategically located for the bay for cleaning and pickup of pop cans. Partition walls, we compartmentalize the wash bay into 3 areas, a loading area, a washing area, and a drying chamber. We do that through partition walls. They're very cost effective. They're a little 2 1/4 inch panel that you put up. But important to the wash process and important to the outcome of the vehicle. Underground chases, be in the right spot, all those kind of things. We do a lot of time today in plan review. It's all about looking at this and making sure everything's going to be perfect because it results in an easy operation. I'm going to give you the millennial compatibility test and quiz yourself a little bit here. Be the disruptors, not the disrupted. These are a few things I thought, maybe today need to be addressed to be compatible with my generation. If you run ads in newspapers, that's probably not on the right track. Today, I don't think many people do that anymore, but you ought to be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everything. It's like a billboard. It's much more cost effective, and you can do a lot of things very easily online. If you tell we'll drive for tips, that's not compatible with our generation. There's a reason for Uber, because we don't like the uncomfortable, is this enough? Is it too much? I don't know. Do I have to tip? Do I not have to tip? This guy's drying my car extra long because he wants a bigger tip. I don't want to wait here. Get me out of here. So that's not sustainable. That's not going to stay around. If you push upsells too hard, we don't like to be sold, but we love to buy. Market hard, sell soft. Okay, at our washes today, we don't do any upsells. If we're doing a promotion, maybe we'll do one, but you pick the wash you want, that's what you get. It's an easy, no-hassle environment that caters to my generation. If you push me and you want to get me to upsell and this and that, I'm not coming back. Dark and claustrophobic feeling. Okay, especially ladies in general, car washes are typically known to be kind of dark and tight. Today, that's not acceptable for this generation. We like to have comfort, space. If your express wash takes more than 7 minutes, it probably shouldn't be called an express wash. And if it's not easy, very important that it's just got to be easy. A couple predictions I want to share with you today of things I kind of foresee coming in the future. So I talked earlier when I opened about a shortage in supply. So the Monthly Wash Club has created a new demand for car washes, and more people are washing their car today than ever before, and we're getting them in by the Unlimited Club membership programs. And so there's a shortage of good car washes in many, many markets around the country. I see the chain companies are overtaking the mom and pops, either by unfortunately shutting them down or by acquisition. So we're starting to see gravitating toward mid-sized chains. Experience-focused customers. Okay, this is an important one. Someone like my wife would go through the car wash and she's not going to get out and look if her wheels are clean or not. She could care less if the wheels are clean or not. But she went there to feel good and get a clean car. She's not going to walk around and go inspect if the wheels are clean. But if the vacuum doesn't have good suction, she's going to be ticked. So experience-focused customers are going to transform the way we wash cars. Pay vacuums I foresee coming back. Okay, free vacuum started in Germany. The company and the guy who started it today, they're not free anymore. They charge. Okay, so it's going to bounce back. It was initially implemented to compete with old full-service washes, where an express could do free vacuuming to compete. And today it needs to come back. It's going to come back because A, it costs money and time and effort and maintenance costs and trash can emptying, and it creates chaos at the sites. It costs more in land, investment up front. Secondly, payment technology was a big problem. Coins, bills, it was all a hassle. Well, today it doesn't matter. Nobody carries cash. Everything's Apple Pay. They say our country is behind in that. And everywhere else in the world, they're far ahead of us in using your phone to pay for things, okay? So we're going to be able to do pay on the phone app, pay with Apple Pay, and everyone else can use credit card. And if you have cash, then whatever. But pay vacuums will be coming back because it's a necessity, it's an opportunity, and most importantly, it's a great area to make a lot of money. It's an income potential. Retail real estate, I believe, will be decreasing. Part of this because the Amazon disruption, food will be still there, but retail stores are going to be hurt. And I may or may not be right about this, but I believe that some of these retail lots are going to be less demanded in the future. Okay, it's not so important anymore that everything has to be on prime real estate. Of course, car washes are far behind because we've always kind of not been on prime real estate. We're trying to catch up and pay a little bit more for land to be on the prime corners. But some of these things like grocery stores or pharmacies and things where you're going to buy a lot of this stuff online in the future, it may result in a decrease in real estate cost. And also another thing disrupting is banks. The banking industry is what they say is one of the next industries to be massively disrupted, and that's due to a new industry called fintech. It's online banking, it's peer-to-peer lending. When's the last time you really walked in a bank? I probably walk in a bank once a year maybe. You get money out of an ATM and you deposit money on your cell phone. There's no need for banks anymore. All these bank branches are on prime, beautiful corners all over the country, but they're squares. So we've built a model that's a short double tunnel to accommodate and leverage all these prime corners on square lots. We believe that in-bays and rollovers will be slowly disappearing or not being built. They're already not being built, but they'll be slowly disappearing just because they're too slow. And today we can do 50 cars an hour in that same amount of space for a little bit more investment up front. And we've launched that what we call the world model. It's a short tunnel that can be built very similar to an in-bay, but it can wash 50 cars an hour. And most importantly, it can be done unattended, and people are doing that today. You're going to see people operating at a distance more commonly. We believe that because there's few of you great operators in this room, but there's a lot of earth out there. There's a lot of sites, there's a lot of land, and it's going to take great operators to go out and build chains. One of our recent clients is building sites, first site and second site are 3 hours apart. Bill Martin, outstanding operator in the room, built one in Denver because he saw an opportunity. Lives in Boise, built in Denver. Okay, this is going to be a trend of the future because we're going to go in and see these opportunities and want to go leverage those opportunities in different markets, and there's a shortage of great operators. Dealerships, I believe, will be reducing vehicle inventory, and that's going to leave an opportunity to pick up pieces of dealerships' massive parking lots. The reason I believe that is because as a millennial, if I was going to go buy a new car today, I would not go and pick one out of a lot. Those are just kind of the cars that are there, and if I want to buy a car, I'm going to go pick my car the way I want it. I'm going to go online, I'm going to select my interior, my exterior, and I'm going to hit ship and order and let it show up. I'm not going to go pick one of those that are just sitting there. So I think that, I believe in the future, these dealers are going to be reducing their inventory space and only have select high sellers, and inventory and things that are not turning over is going to be reduced, and we can put a car wash there and earn a higher dollar per square foot that ties into the dealership. Customers, memberships being a life experience. So when XM radio came on, it's one of those things, I'm not sure if I'm going to do this. Turn it on for a little while, it's kind of expensive. Maybe I'll deactivate it for a little while. Okay, I'll turn it back on. Okay, Netflix, yeah, that's pretty cool. I got to get that. Oh, it's kind of expensive. Maybe I don't really use it enough. Okay, I'll just turn it back on, just keep it and stop the hassle. Club memberships, I hope and believe when you turn 16, you sign up for the club. When you don't have a car anymore, you cancel your club. That's the way I expect it to be. I think it's going to go to that where it just becomes not one of those get on, get off, get on, get off, and that's where I think the price needs to remain low. And it becomes a life expense like your internet, your cable TV, your Netflix, and your XM radio. It's just something you have to have. Now with that becomes what years ago used to be people wash their car monthly, and I think that evolved into weekly washing. We're seeing weekly and daily washing today. I believe that the next step is actually going to be multiple times per day. And that's going to come with the Ubers of the world and the self-driving vehicles that are picking people up, and they're going to go get washed between clients, okay? And I think that's the way of the future. It's not going to get less, it's only going to get more. We need to wash soft and gentle and be ready and be prepared for people to wash multiple times a day. My wife's car, my car, I go through the car wash, and a day later, you hit a mud puddle, whatever you want to clean. You don't want to be putting kids in the car, you know, rubbing on the side of your vehicle. I believe we're going to see that the cars pick people up, or maybe it's a couple times a day, maybe not hourly, but 3 times throughout the day, that Uber needs to be washed before it goes and picks up its next ride. What we share with you today is a 3-part, you know, absolute unbelievable opportunity that integrates an app with retail outlets and real estate investments and residual income with a club membership. I can't think of any business or any industry that has those 3 components. There's very few. Also, advantages and benefits of the car wash industry: mid-level labor. We don't have to hire skilled and expensive labor, but we also don't have to hire minimum wage labor. We only have a few people, so it's a great area to be hiring people today. It's a gratifying product you can see. You feel good about yourself when you go to the car wash, you wash 1,000 cars, you go home at night and said, man, we really did good. That feels good. Machinery versus people. Anybody who works with people knows that machinery is a little easier and more predictable. So a low labor business, so we can run these facilities with 3 people, but you have to know what you're getting into to manage the machinery, because you're in a machinery business instead of people. That's maintenance, prevention, damage control, okay, emergency solutions. So you got to understand the machinery, but it's easier when you're predictable over people. A low labor environment. Medium ticket average is a great part of this business. You're not likely to get sued over $7 or $8. It's a service business. There's a lot of benefits to a service business. It's not just the cost of goods and we're just funneling cheeseburgers out here. We're building a system. We're charging rent against the depreciation on our equipment. It's a great business industry to be in, as a service business. Our assets are held in real estate is a great thing, and just that the fact that there's no food in this business is a big plus for regulation. Opportunity is now. And what I've shared with you today, conservatively, again, about 2,600 car washes we believe need to be built in these mostly small markets around the country. It's not the big cities. Everybody's got eyes on the big cities. It's the small markets that are untapped and underserved. And over 8,000, and these are very conservative numbers. These don't even account for the shortage we've already had before. That's just to meet new demands generated by the monthly wash club. There's markets very desperate for car washes, and this is a transformational business model. I show people all over the world what we do. I show them pictures, and they say, there's nothing like that in my area. I say, well, what about so-and-so? There's an express car wash there. No, but not like this. Not like this, they say. Okay, the smooth, easy, the belt, the brightness. Overconfident and slow to upgrade existing operators. Many of the industry has operations that need to be upgraded. A blue ocean markets readily available and avoid bloodbath cities. And with that, we've developed a franchise system. Virtually every retail business today leverages a system. There's a high risk in going alone. We've put together an operations manual, training, and brand trust to package it. Our end goal is mass rollout. We have 6 locations open in 4 states, and we have 4 other states under contract as well as internationally. We're giving you a 45-year veterans, giving you an opportunity to join a very exciting rollout at a very exciting time. And I'm going to share with you a, sorry. Let me start over here.
It's just a 130-foot express tunnel, capable of delivering more than 200 cars per hour, clean, shiny, and dry. And it's built on nearly 50 years of car wash industry success and innovation. And now it's a franchise. Experience the Tommy's Express franchise model in 360-degree virtual reality.
So this is an exhibit in our booth, the virtual reality experience. You'll be able to go in and see this car wash facility. And with that, I will take any group questions if you have. Yes. Any questions? Yeah, go ahead. Otherwise, there's a mic up here if we can't hear you, but.
So, because the wheels don't turn.
Yes. Sure, great question. Because wheels don't turn on a belt, how do you clean wheels and do tire shine? So in our wash process, we haven't used any type of tire brushes in about 15 years, maybe even 20 years. We ripped all that out. Today we clean wheels with chemistry. Chemistry's improved a lot. We put it on a dry wheel. We let it dwell. Okay, we call dwell time. Then we go in and we blast it with high pressure after that, after it goes through some friction. It makes no difference in our process whether the wheel's turning or not. It's all done through really a touchless application. We do tire shine at the end where the tire starts to roll. So the last 10 feet off the belt, it's a downhill slope. We control the speed of the vehicle because our back tires are still riding on the belt. So it's controlled and we push them through a tire shine applicator and their wheels roll at that point. Yep, thanks. Any other questions? Go ahead. Okay, define small markets in terms of population. So one of the incredible success stories right now that I'm thinking about is a city that's about 20,000 people, and they're doing phenomenal with a full-blown tunnel. Okay, so that's kind of the threshold. Below that, we would do that, what I talked about, the world model, which is more like a 50-foot, really small market. The world model is more like an alternative to an in-bay that's going to wash 50 cars an hour. But we're building full-size tunnels in 20,000 and up. That'd be about the minimum, but some very good success stories in markets that size. Okay, so we just built one in a new franchise store just opened in Joplin, Missouri. That's a little bigger. That's about a 50,000 full-blown Tommy's Express wash, doing outstanding. So those are kind of the markets that are under the radar. If you look at a map, pull up a map and just look at it, there's a lot of them. There's a lot more of those than there are Dallases and Houstons and Atlantas when you look at the map. Yes?
What's the optimal size of a piece of land?
Sure, size of piece of land. So on the small side, we can do about a ½ acre, and we can go up to about 1 acre is ideal. Anywhere in that range. A flex serve with a detail center, you might need to 1.2 acres. But today we've designed the model to fit on the traditional, conventional outlots. You don't get to decide these things so much. They build a big box and they lay out a bunch of outlots. We have to adapt to fit that common. But the square model will help because now it opens the door for a lot lot more sites. So, yes.
In the Denver area, I have a horse in the Denver area. They require recycled water.
Mm-hmm.
Back.
Yes.
They're crazy.
Yes.
What number, do you have any using recycled water? And number two is how do your windows and glass hold up? Because I've been in business for a long time.
Yeah.
You got difficulty with that.
Great question. So water usage and windows. Today we use less water than ever before because of a process we developed where we kind of put a little soap on, then we rinse a little soap off, then we put a little soap on, we rinse a little off. And that keeps us from having to give the car a gusher at the end of the tunnel. And that gives us an overall water usage. Right now we're running about 32 to 33 gallons per car. So we've been able to reduce that to where a 2-inch tap size is our standard all the time, even if we don't have reclaim. And when we have reclaim, we're down to about 22 to 23 gallons. We like to use reclaim in moderation because anybody who has reclaim and uses a lot of it knows that there's a cost either way. There's a cost to the water, there's a cost to the cleaning, the smell, the mess, and the experience. So we use reclaim door handles and below in moderation. We never put it on the top of the car. So it's only saving us maybe 30% water usage. But in terms of windows, the wash bay is wider open, and so the windows don't get as wet. And the key to keeping them clean is repetition. We go every night, we clean the floor and every window. And again, that's part of our job. It's part of owning a car wash. You're in the cleaning business, and you better have a clean car wash if you're going to show people you know how to clean. We're in a cleaning industry. So we go through and we clean those windows every night. And if you do that, the repetition's probably the best cleaning product of anything, just to do it religiously. So it's about a 45-minute process we do every night, from cleaning the cloth, greasing bearings, to inspections, picking up tools, and cleaning. So does that answer? Yes.
On the smaller sites, have you ever built a 2-story with the equipment upstairs?
We have a site that's restricted in space, and we put the equipment downstairs, actually. And we've done a few upstairs. Upstairs is okay. It's all not ideal. You're going to deal with weeping problems if it's upstairs where things want to drain. And downstairs, we ripped out most of what was in the basement today with the pod system. The pod is what sits in the bay, and it's all your soap functions inside the wash bay. And a lot of that eliminates the back room. So the back room in a brand new facility today, we built is 30 feet by 10 feet. And when you walk in there, it's spacious because we've gone down to every pipe, everything, where it should sit, why it should sit there, getting the best possible design. And so there's really not much in there anymore. So 30 feet by 10 feet, plus we have a little mezzanine in there for passive equipment like air compressors and water storage tanks. All right, so today I would squeeze it and avoid doing it upstairs or downstairs if you can. Yes?
Do you have a minimum required length for that conveyor, the new conveyor?
We've done about 40 feet, is possible. When we do what's called an in-bay conversion, we'll take an in-bay automatic out, cut the floor, and we'll put in a belt, if we can, from footing to footing inside that building. And about 40 feet, that's the point where it's, doesn't make sense really any shorter than that. So, over on the wall.
Track system, what's the maintenance like? And what's the lifespan?
Sure, good question. Maintenance, we have some documents on that track everything we've done to it. You have to change a few things. You have to change sprockets, you have to change plates, deck plates underneath, and then you have to replace the belt. Those are things that we've kind of amortized. The thing about a belt you got to understand is those lifespans are maybe longer than a chain roller conveyor, but they're more expensive. So when you go in and do maintenance on a belt, there's 4, 5, 6 people involved in lifts versus a chain roller conveyor. You're one guy, 2 guys down there holding the motor and stuff. So in terms of cost, it's not much different. It's probably a little bit more, but we've optimized it through managing wear. So really the secret today is cleaning and inspections. Okay, as long as we keep an eye on it, we make sure we don't wear through plates underneath, but we have to replace the belt. We just did 300,000 cars on a belt and 1 set of sprockets at one of our newer stores. And then we flipped it and ran it the other way and then keep going. So the full life is, we're running about 380,000 cars maybe right now, so at our stores. Yes? Solar, we have played with it a little bit sometimes. The best place to do it is on your vacuum canopies. On the roof, you always maybe have problems or people up there penetrating the roof, stuff like that. So it's a nice thing on vacuum canopies. We haven't done much, but yes.
So you have this 200,000 washes a year. What would you budget for maintenance? And then also, what would you suggest for a CapEx equipment replacement set aside regarding like you have a brand new wash?
Yeah. Okay, well, great question. And one of the things to understand about you're in the service business and you're selling rent on your building is wear and tear. And so what I always tell everybody is depreciation is not a perk on your taxes. It's a real expense. And you need to understand that because I call it like a jet airplane. When you're flying on a jet, your fuel is your cost now, and then you put almost that same amount of money again aside for depreciation on the engines down the road. Car wash is very, very similar. We've graphed that almost 50% immediate cost, 50% down the road. So it's a big number. That might be like 70 cents a car that is going to be wear and tear for when you need to replace that equipment in 15 years. We always say you'll replace the equipment because it's obsolete in technology before it wears out. But that's a fact of, again, branding. And good retail brands is you always stay up to the latest and greatest. Okay, when McDonald's, what did they do? They tore down the old facilities and built brand new. They did that for economical reasons because it's the right thing to do to stay up to pace. We failed to do that in the car wash industry. We don't have the leadership of people saying, look at the economics. You got to do this. Tear down your place. And we're in the process of looking at that at one of our own stores to tear down and rebuild. Because of this technological leap, we've got to get to the advanced stage. So that's a great question. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it's something you have to understand in this business. Otherwise, you'll run your car wash into the ground, and you'll be going back to the bank when you need to renovate it. Okay? Anyone else? Otherwise, we're going to have one-on-one questions. Go ahead.
For the safety, like I've seen like you put the car right behind each other, but you have a way if someone accidentally put their car live or stop, like for stoppage.
Yeah.
Like for the wall,
Sure, like a drive-through, you know, somebody who's driving through, and you mean like a collision. And so on a belt, of course, it's really no different in the sense that at any time, somebody can throw it and drive on accident, they're going to take off, hit the guy in front of them. We find the best thing to do is stay busy. Okay, we get less collisions and issues when we're busy because they're following the leader. Everybody's following the leader. So when there's nobody in front of them is when they'll throw it and drive and ram through and run into a piece of equipment. But if it's a very busy day, the customer's loading like this, right? They're focused, they're paying attention, they put their phone down. It's my time to load. And they're less likely to, you know, ram somebody in front of them when there's somebody they can see. If it's not busy, then they can go. Okay, does that answer your question? All right, you can come up later, and I'll be up here for a while. Any other one-on-one questions? Thank you. Thank you.